Want to ensure that you deeply internalize the Quranic insights in this series? Then download and follow along with our free guided workbook from bayyinah.com/amazed.
بارك الله لي ولكم في القرآن الحكيم ونفعني وإياكم بالآيات والذكر الحكيم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته.
Assalamu alaikum, Ustad.
Wa alaikum salam.
Jazakallah khair for that session. There was a sister who couldn't stay behind and she had a question, so wanted me to give it to you.
Okay. Ustad, in the Quran I noticed two places where Allah says, وَأَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَأَطِيعُوا الرَّسُولَ.
The first is in Surah Al-Ma'idah, ayah 92, and the second is in Surah At-Taghabun, ayah 12. But I noticed that in Surah Al-Ma'idah it added wahdharu, be careful. Why did Allah add that here?
Yes, so there are very similar cases. As you said in Al-Ma'idah, Allah says,
وَأَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَأَطِيعُوا الرَّسُولَ. Obey Allah and obey the Messenger. That's identical in both of them. wahdharu, and be careful, watch out. فَإِن تَوَلَّيْتُمْ, then if you were to turn away, فَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّمَا عَلَى رَسُولِنَا الْبَلَاغُ الْمُبِينَ, then you had better know that our Messenger's responsibility is only to deliver the message clearly. وَأَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَأَطِيعُوا الرَّسُولَ in Surah At-Taghabun, obey Allah and obey the Messenger. فَإِن تَوَلَّيْتُمْ, then if you were to turn away, فَإِنَّمَا عَلَى رَسُولِنَا الْبَلَاغُ الْمُبِينَ, then our Messenger's only responsibility is to deliver a clear message. So they both seem to be saying obey Allah and obey the Messenger, except in Ma'idah, Allah adds and be careful. Obey Allah and obey the Messenger, wahdharu, and be careful. So the question arises, why is Allah telling us to be careful in Ma'idah and not so much in Surah At-Taghabun? You'll notice in Surah At-Taghabun, it's a sermon, and it doesn't have any commandments. And we're not given anything to watch out for. Anything to be careful about in particular. So Allah does not add, be careful. But if you study Surah Al-Ma'idah, just the ayat before, this is ayah number 92, I'll read to you something from ayah number 90 and 91. Listen up. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, those of you who have iman, innama al-khamr wal-maysir wal-ansab wal-azlam rijsum min amal shaytan. You had better know that wine, intoxicants, gambling, altars, places to do particular rituals. So ansab is not just altars, but it's any kind of ritual that you do to, make your life better and things like that. People put amulets and all kinds of fun stuff and, do morning rituals or have these kinds of practices. Drop all of those. Well, azlam was, casting lots and arrows, but what it means actually is doing stuff for good luck. Good luck charms or going to a palm reader or something. All this stuff counts under azlam, okay? So he says, alcohol, gambling, these weird rituals, I'll make it easy, weird rituals, and then doing things for good luck. All of them, rijsum min amal shaytan, these are abominations, filth from the work of the devil. Fajtanibu, stay away from all of it. لعلكم تفلحون, so you could be successful. إنما يريد الشيطان أن يوقع بينكم العداوة والبغضاء. Shaitan, all he wants is that he install between you and drop between you animosity and hatred. في الخمر والميسر, by using alcohol and gambling. That's pretty serious. ويصدكم عن سبيل ويصدكم عن ذكر الله, and moreover he wants to prevent you from remembering Allah وعن الصلاة, and he wants to prevent you from prayer itself. فهل أنتم منتهون, then are you going to stop or what? Then he says, obey Allah and obey the Messenger and be careful. He said be careful because there's lots of things to watch out for in the previous ayah. There isn't a long list of instructions of the tricks of Shaitan. By the way, when it comes to Shaitan, he gets you to do things when you're not careful. So it's important to mention at that point, not just obey Allah and obey the Messenger, but also add wahdharu. Be careful. The perfection, once again, of what needs to be said at what occasion. This is actually pretty good, tip and a very powerful divine tip for a da'i, for someone who's speaking and giving advice to someone. When should you emphasize something? When should you not emphasize something? When is it a time to speak less and when is it a time to speak more? Sometimes you have a lot on your mind, you want to get it all out, but you should sense this is not the right time. Given the subject matter, I don't need to emphasize it as much. It might take away from the idea of emphasis. When people emphasize something all the time, then it loses its emphasis. If people are yelling all the time, it doesn't sound as loud anymore. If people are angry all the time, people get used to their anger. They're not fazed by it anymore. So you have to turn it up sometimes and take it down a few notches sometimes. That's what the Quran does. That's why the Quran's ayat are compared to the breeze. Some breezes are strong, some are soft, some are warm, some are cold. This is what Allah does. He'll give the same advice, but given the situation and the audience and the subject matter at hand, He might intensify it or He might take it back. he might tone it down. Subhanallah. And that's the wisdom of Allah's speech. May Allah Azza wa Jal help us embody that kind of wisdom in our own speech. Barakallahu li wa lakum. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Almost 300,000 souls have already been gifted a Bayyinah TV sponsorship, and the impact has been immense. But over 50,000 eager students who can't afford it are still waiting to begin their journey. You can help. Visit bayyinah.com/gift to share the gift of the Quran so that another soul can explore the depths of Allah's words.
Their access lasts a year, but its impact may last a lifetime. I want you to help me help them and give the gift of Bayyinah TV today.